Welcome in, everyone, to Primetime Tuesday number 9. We had some scuffage going on in the background with the brackets and fixing everything for that. Teams dropping out last minute left and right, and then other teams coming back into the fold. But let's talk about the format real quick before we get into this. We are testing a new format. We've had Swiss since Primetime number 4, and we are going with GSL groups into a single elimination bracket. So groups of, or pools of 3 or 4 teams, top 2 make it into that final bracket. 9 pools that there are for teams to make it in. So technically 18 teams that are making it out the first round. There's going to be 2 teams facing off against each other, and then moving on into the top 16 single elimination bracket. Best of 3s. We'll figure out if it's going to be just for the finals or maybe semis too, since we don't know exactly how long things are going to take this time, since it's our first time truly testing this out. So we're giving the players the code. We're trying to see how things are going. And, thank you to everyone who's helping making this a possibility. And thank you to the players for bearing with us as we are testing things out. And Max, you were asking the background. I know people might be confused. What is the Rapid Fire Redemption bracket? Well, that is testing out matchmaking as a side event in Start GG. So if you get eliminated, you can go into that, play against other teams that are queuing up whenever you want, and you can have bragging rights if you have the best elo at the end of the tournament. So if you're knocked out early, don't have to worry, because you can still play against some other teams if we have people sign up for it. We're first time trying that too. We're trying 2 new things.
I'm actually kind of curious how that Rapid Fire Redemption will play out, just because, if you want to play more games because you had a rough day, that seems like a good place to go. But yeah, obviously new format pools, very akin, I almost feel like, to traditional fighting games in that sense, which is always a lot of fun. And I'm curious who's been hitting the pool, who remembers how to swim, and who's going to wind up drowning, if we're going to get any surprise early knockouts. Although cutting to 18 seems odd to me, man. That's a little bit of an awkward number.
It is an awkward number, but the thing is, if we made it 16 still, there'd be a couple groups that would have 5 teams in it, and then that would extend that entire group by another hour. 2 more matches, too. That would have to be played out as well. So it'd make everything take so long. That's the thing that's kind of weird with GSL groups. If you don't have the right number, then the pools are kind of messed up a little bit. So we're still figuring out things as we go for the perfect mesh for that. So again, as I mentioned before, bear with us a little bit as we figure that stuff out. But the teams are queuing. We have Cheese Fry Gaming, and we need the SoniiEmotes. And the funny thing about this group too, Max, there's a team who says we need the SoniiEmotes more. And instead of being the 22nd seed or the 33rd seed, so they're in the same pool.
Yeah, that always makes it fun, and I kind of feel like these 2 sides might be destined for that lower bracket matchup. And if I'm going to be real, I don't really think either of them at the end of the day are going to be getting those emotes. I don't know. Maybe that's harsh. Maybe that's why they need them, because they've been struggling to get to them. But, I mean, I'm happy to be proven wrong on that side. But I'm worried for both SoniiEmotes teams.
Worried for them? Well, hopefully we can see maybe both of them potentially could make it out if they upset the world. But the world would be Quest Esports, who are on the other side. So looks like we'll be going into game in just a moment. And there we go. Oni Village to kick things off here. We have Cheese Fry in blue and SoniiEmotes in the red side this time. And again, for those who might not know, we did ban Finny. So if we do see that happen, players will have to reset, score on themselves, and it might take us some time if they accidentally selected them. But Finny apparently just bugs custom matches currently. So we'll see a patch come out for that soon. But Estelle and Dubu being banned out first.
Yeah, interesting. The Dubu ban, not too surprising, especially on Oni Village. It's really easy to kind of just lock down that second goal barrier, whichever side it happens to be. Estelle, been a pretty popular pick. But again, Oni Village, not really a match where I would expect Zentaro to kind of step up, show up, and pop off. The Drekar makes a bit more sense to me, but we'll see as we get into it. Normally, you like your kind of projectile strikers in this map just because of how wide open and how much space you're going to be able to create for yourself and how easy it is to avoid those melee champs. But we'll see if Izanaginata, is that how is that one pronounced? Izanaginata?
That's a good question. I feel like some of these names we are going to butcher. So if you are in the chat watching and listening, let us know. There's streamer mode on one of the players, unfortunately, so we'll have to deal with that as we can. But actually, no, there isn't streamer mode. It was just kind of bugged a little bit, but it's okay. It's fine now.
Everything's bugging today, all right? We bugging out. That's just, we're having fun with it. Yeah, we'll be curious, though, to see, how these SoniiEmotes guys will be, and we'll learn, I'm sure, plenty new names. And when I butcher them, I'm not going to apologize. Have a normal name.
Have a normal name. That's all we got to say on that one. But anyway, gold barriers down across the board pretty quickly into this one. Not even close to the halfway point. Power chord's huge, but there we go. The Zentaro, even after the most recent nerf, it's not enough to nerf the slice and dice.
Yeah, that ability can be so strong just using to stuff that in. Do we have a chance to check out the Awakenings, actually? Our opening Awakenings for this one.
Oh, blessed producer, if you can hear us call you out, can you let us know the Awakenings maybe this time or maybe when the next goal happens? I'll tag you in the Discord if so.
I'm just a little curious on that. I don't know. Let's see if we can figure it out based on gameplay, right? Like, that would be the challenge. Like, can you figure out what Awakenings they have? Because I can't yet, to be perfectly honest.
That's fair. That's very fair. Well, the SoniiEmotes gang, who doesn't need it more, but they do need the SoniiEmotes. They are the ones that are on at top with that first goal. And they're still holding on to this goal barrier. Vice goalie, still pretty popular from what we've seen even. Though, I mean, there's some other contenders out there for goalies. It really just comes down to the map. The eject button for the Vice, usually very effective because you can go for a stun, then go forward and try and see what you can do to get a goal barrier down. But speaking of going forward, BeegWeebster, love the name, was able to get that final goal barrier.
Yeah, he was, but how much, how long will it take, I should say, for the map to get flipped again? The turret doesn't do too much. Chescaku already under a bit of strife. I mean, Stagger Bar's a lot healthier, and with that core flip pass down to Zesty, no, it's a straight up whiff. The lock and load did not make contact. That's okay. Slice and Dice is missing as well, so no one able to connect on the SoniiEmotes. They're still able to press it forward. In fact, you saw the Noski getting quite aggressive, quite forward. Another shot. This one will get past Chescaku. And it's a 2-0 lead for the team in red.
I'm just going to say Izan. That'll be the easiest for me.
Yeah.
I apologize for not trying to say the entire name, but maybe by the end of the day, we'll see how things go. But Twin Drive across the board is what we saw. That's the other tournaments that we typically run here for EU. It's Primetime here for round number 1 again. Minimum, you have to win 2 matches to make it into the playoff single elimination bracket or go into the blender if you fall in your first 2 matches. So at least you get a couple matches here. Not as many as you would typically in the Swiss format where you're guaranteed 5. That's why we made that rapid fire redemption a possibility, but no, the Expanse is going to be canceled after another season because we saw the goal barrier go down.
And again, the Boski goes forward, gets it up to Izan, and that's going to be the first set going to the SoniiEmotes. Maybe a little bit of an upset on the cards right here, Vodible. They're very, very effective at those infield passes, and the pressure comes through to make it a quick 3-0.
Well, I need to go check on these central servers to make sure things are working for today. I was told they would, but apparently they're not. So, Max, if you want to break down, what you're looking at here for the Awakening draft, please let us know.
I mean, yeah, a timeless creator going over to Cheesecake is obviously going to be nice for that Atlas goalkeeper who was having a little bit of a struggle in those early days. But the big pickups, obviously, heavy impact and hot shot. I would say going to the strikers, however, it is that Vice goalkeep. Doesn't matter. The point is, there's going to be a fair bit of power going already for a team that, was looking to play fast and kind of snug when on the attacking side. So if they can increase the tempo of those situations, that could be quite dangerous. However, Beege already putting the pressure the other way. 2 barriers down early on a map like Oni Village is never a place you want to be in. Well, you might have the ejector button for 1 save, but on those cooldowns, Dyre is going to go ahead and get the first goal for Cheese Fry that they've gotten all match long.
Nice goal from Cheese Fry, and they're making me a bit hungry. As we're checking in exactly what's going on in the background there, but still, apparently things are up and running as far as we know. So it's good to know that maybe it was player misinput. And I just got to say L plus Bozo plus learn to type. But no, it was working. So we'll figure that out in the background for anyone who is still trying to get their first match going. But SoniiEmotes team, there goes the KO at the side. 3v2 situation. This is a much closer affair than that first set.
Well, I'm not going to call it closer. I'm going to call it more one-sided just the other way because Cheese Fry has looked in control. 2 quick goals on Oni Village is not something you typically see, but yeah, we saw the power play. We saw how it led to the breakaway, and that 3v2 really was a 2v1, and Zesty could only do too much, or so much, I should say, to make that save in that situation. So Cheese Fry responding after an awkward first set, now 1 goal away from taking their first as well. As already pressure being put on the Vice goalkeeper. You can see all the projectiles thrown in her face. Power cord misses and goals exposed. Core flip, no, it bounces double doinks and goes out.
Unfortunate to say the least, but works out. Well, I was going to say works out well enough for Cheese Fry, but they got to be careful about that Zentaro. There goes the core flip. Great read, too. Dangerous glitch pop for BeegWeebster. Might have been a bit overzealous on that play, but last-second core strike from Cheese. Able to get that forward, and, well, the striker Kai going forward for the win. Gets the KO on the Imi from the turret, and they are taking the A train to victory here.
Yeah, 2 quick sets on Oni Village. I'm not used to that, especially not going back and forth, right? Normally it would go one way, not the other. Oh, by the way, house rules, got to take prime time first, so even if Imi doesn't necessarily want it, although I think she does, yeah, that's going to get locked in straight away. I do like seeing the specialized training. Yeah, okay, that goes second. Castellas is probably going to fall all the way down to that Atlas as well, so, I mean, Cheesecake's getting very fortunate with some of these awakenings at this stage.
That they
it's stolen!
Oh, man. Can't be used for the Atlas, but hey, they're going to have some extra power and speed, and maybe that'll help them a little bit here. They couldn't get the whole creation buff going, the whole creation buffet. So
yeah, you have to take that. You can't let like your opponent's Atlas get their Dream Awakening as the last pick. Like, that's just not allowed. You have to take it. So Zesty, we'll see if they can use, longer periods of the, invisibility to maybe get that offensive pressure we saw during the first set. But at the moment, not going to be the case as they get KO'd. And oh no.
This game is just showing how much the Awakening draft is so important when it comes to these matchups. Because SoniiEmotes, again, they are the lower seed, but they did start off so strong. And even with the draft, it wasn't really the best that they could have asked for with the specific strikers that they were playing, but you just got to make the most of it and see what we can do afterwards. And what they need to do is get a victory here, at least a goal, and turn things around, because that's been...
There it is.
Well, I was going to say that would have been 4 in a row for Cheese Fry, but there we go. SoniiEmotes on the board.
Yeah, and it was Zesty staying cloaked that little bit longer to reposition and then just get that extra firepower in and through. So I like seeing that. What I'm finding interesting, though, is, again, the fast infield passes that we saw in the first set for the SoniiEmotes hasn't really been able to come back. And a lot of it has to do with the positioning of BeegWeebster. Weebster has just been in between the two, forwards, I should say, the SoniiEmotes constantly. And, they haven't been able to pass, not to mention the harassment that Beej has been putting down as well. Eventually they're going to have to try to turn it against them, and that was just mean by Dyre.
Oof. Dyre is on fire. Nice to see that forward Kai coming to fruition. Don't see it as often because usually they are reserved for the goalie category, but as far as the lore goes, Kai likes to play forward a little bit. Though we do see Zesty looking to see what they can do to shotgun blast their way to victory, and Dyre just getting all the strikes necessary to take down the goal barriers, make it one step away from getting 2 sets in a row.
Who is the goalkeeper on the team? Is it Arrow?
I think it is the Kai. I might have misspoken.
Yeah, I think Kai had, I don't know, because it's certainly not X, all right? You don't put X in the goal.
Yeah.
That's just a asking
goalie,
for a bad
but
time.
I feel like he kind of likes to improvise sometimes. X, you got me covered when we're feeling like we're on top of the world winning all the time. But regardless.
There's no one to punch in the goalie, though. You need to find people to punch.
The goalie gets punched all the time, so...
BeegWeebster gets that goal, gets that last set. No X required here. It's a pretty clean one again for Cheese Fry, now 1 away. Again, this Amy is going to get, or AI is going to get first pick. I'm looking at missile propulsion. I'm looking at aerials, even perfect form if you want to be something a little off blue. But nope, it is going to be the aerials.
Aerials coming out. I mean, that's a good pickup too. Longer range projectiles, and also just enhances that blink ability from them. Perfect form, hits reduce cooldowns with the shotgun blast. It's huge. Stagger Swagger. I think that was more of a deny than anything else on it to that Zentaro, because they don't want them to have that speed buff. Now going into potentially the final set, looking at this Awakening draft, pretty solid across the board, especially for the Vice for their SoniiEmotes, but they haven't been able to get as involved on offense as they would like, using that special as much as they can, but I think it's better used just to defend rather than more as something to get a stagger down on the other side.
I also find it interesting that, watching through that draft as well, the orb, no one wanted to play orbs this game, and normally on Oni Village, I kind of like orbs. Oni Village and Athens City are kind of like the two where I think the orbs can be the strongest, just because like, the sheer amount of them on Athens Village, but in Oni Village, typically, it's longer games, so it's easier to get those orb stacks up over the course of the game. But because it's been going so fast, I'm not actually surprised people ignored it. It's just still unusual and a sign of how the meta has shifted. That turret slash shot was the winning one. 2 goals away now. Cheese Fry continues to march forward.
Nice to see from Cheese Fry on that one. As you mentioned, 2 goals away. Drop the first set, but that just goes to the show. Even if you face adversity at the start, it's not over till it is over.
Inspiration.
As a glitch pop, not really the greatest spot there for the positioning, but they still kept the pressure up and made up for it in loads, getting that goal barrier down, and the bait out on the play from the Neski. He couldn't get the save, couldn't get the goal barrier away, and great reads all across the board for Cheese Fry in the barrage. No, this goalie is being played like a fiddle as they are going down there and down into that lower bracket as well.
Have you ever seen the movie The Replacements?
The Replacements?
Keanu Reeves football movie. But like, he gives a speech about quicksands towards the end of the movie, not to get too deep into it, but it's like this idea of like, you make one mistake and you try so hard to fix it, but then you just wind up sinking deeper and deeper, and there's just nothing you can do to pull yourself out of it. That was the vice, that defensive effort, because it was just nothing going right. You can see them trying, but it was just making it worse and worse as it happened, and yeah, that's awkward. Now Dyre with the chance to end it, puts the pressure on. Bees even flash forward, but no, can't get the goal just yet.
Not just yet, but there's still plenty of time, and it's going to be a goalie goal to end things off. The expanse is too wide, and they can't stop it from going in, even with the extra pressure after the IME turret. There was just no way to stop that inevitability. Cheese Fry, I mean, they were the higher seed, so it makes sense they come out on top, and they got their bellies full, but now they have to move on to face off against Quest Esports in the next round of the bracket, and that's going to be a tough one.
It's risky. It's risky filling your belly too much when you're in the pool, all right? You can cramp up, you can sink, but we'll see how they continue to go moving forward. I mean, MVP on that one. Give it to Beej. I feel like the Amy was so disruptive. As you can see, the damage was high. Maybe not as high as their opponents, but it was the timing of the damage, how they were always able to jump in between, and it kind of shut down those infield passes that we saw a lot of between Izan and Zesty at the start, not to mention the sheer harassment that was put on TB Oneski as well. It was a dominant performance from the AIME.
That it was. Well, we're going to head on over to a quick break to try and figure out this next round. It seems because we were behind a little bit, some of the matches started, so we might not be able to get a winner's final, maybe get a lower semifinal. So we'll figure that out as quickly as we can to keep this tournament running. But thank you all for watching. Thank you, Reed, for the 5 gifted subs. Woo! Really appreciate it, and we'll be back in just a sec.